asked you to move in with me. You said no.
But I can't.
You can. You don't want to.
What do you do?
It's kind of hard to explain.
Because what you do is complicated?
Because I don't really do it.
Peter, I have the sense that Gerwig is one of these actors that people either absolutely adore or would quite like to throttle.
I'm kind of going for the third way, rather. I'm not totally bought into the Greta Gerwig thing. I really wanted to like this film. Our colleague Catherine Shard loved it, absolutely loved it when it was in Toronto, and I liked it. I wanted it to be funnier. How can I say this? I think I get Greta Gerwig's style, which is very naturalistic, which isn't, the point of it isn't to hammer you with gags and lines and zingers. It really reminded me of Lena Dunham. I mean, in its overwhelming and I think slightly self-conscious hipness, it was saying we are hip. We are from Brooklyn and we are hip in almost every
casting
frame.
as well. Adam Driver is
intensely
in there too.
Lena Dunham, lots of references and then scenes which are similar to Lena Dunham. But I have to say, without Lena Dunham's killer instinct for the excruciating situation or the gag. Now that might just be the vulgar way my palate has been slightly corroded by a need for gags, and that's not what this movie is trying to do.
It's gentler.
Yeah, it is gentler, and I get that. But if I'm honest, I have to say I was waiting for some punch, some killer punch, which didn't quite come for me.
Henry, as someone at the end of your 20s still casting around for an honourable way to spend your life, did this movie strike a chord?
Yeah, it feels almost too close to home. No, I mean, that's exactly the reason why I hated all the mumblecore stuff, in that it's all about, you know, the glory of being in your 20s and not really knowing what you're doing and blah, 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 blah. And this has gotten far more direction, is much more of a target, I think. And I think the hipness thing works because she isn't hip, and she's now getting to that point where she's starting to head into her 30s and she still has no clue what's going on. And it's a bit sad compared to the people around her who actually do have functioning jobs, are able to get a flat, which she can't do, and seem to have at least halfway decent relationships, which she's just come out of. So while normally I'd absolutely hate Greta Gerwig, and not much of a fan of Noah Baumbach either, I really love this. I thought it was great.
Baumbach and Gerwig are what is known in gossip terms as an item. And he was telling me that he was kind of motivated by a desire to protect the character and by implication Gerwig herself. And it's a very tender, compassionate portrait of somebody who is a complete mess.
I think you can be tender and compassionate to people who are in that situation, though. I mean, you know, there is an element of disillusionment and dysfunction in people in their late 20s who don't know still what they want to do, which comes across really well in this. One part that I absolutely loved is where she goes home to her family, and he does this montage of 5 minutes maybe of 45-second scenes of her doing things like going to the dentist or putting lights on the tree, and that felt completely true to me, that you can still go home and feel like a kid in many ways, and then come back to the real world of New York and have absolutely no clue what's going on and be completely lost.
Although I do have to say that is Lena Dunham. Lena Dunham, and maybe Frances Hard got in there first, but that is a big scene in Girls, going home to the West Coast to your parents.
It adds to the poignancy, though, doesn't it?
Oh,
because
it does.
They're not mockable. It's not like she's run away and rebelled from anything. She's just kind of different.
She's just different. What I like about it is, what I think I understand to be sort of the point, is just her sheer youth. The sheer physiological motor is turning over so that she doesn't get depressed. And you had that terrific scene where she's literally jazz running through the streets to David Bowie's Modern Love. It kind of reminded me weirdly of Kenneth Lonergan's Margaret, really, a kind of horrible B-side to that. That's the desperation of running in that movie, which of course ended in utter disaster. This really reminded me of that scene, that terrific tracking shot where she's possibly running for a bus, or possibly she's just late, or just running for the sheer hell of it, but with a more optimistic spin.
It's that thing when you're with someone and you love them and they know it and they love you and you know it, but it's a party and you're both talking to other people and you're laughing and shining, and you look across the room and catch each other's eyes, but not because you're possessive or it's precisely sexual, but because that is your person in this life. And it's funny and sad, but only because this life will end, and it's the secret world that exists right there in public, unnoticed, that no one else knows about.
You know, to fear and anxiety and pain.
They seem so together now.
The world is problematic, for him. And I think that, we can imagine it all.
Mr. Grew, Agent Lucy Wilde of the Anti-
I could pretty much excel at whatever I want.